Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Maybe you are familiar with this expression, open your mouth so I know who you are. That is, speak to me a little bit, and I need about 5 minutes to kind of figure out, I think in a proportion of 90% of how you think and who you are. And if you allow me to ask you two questions, then just two questions on two topics, I kind of go to 98%. But nevertheless, what do we have here? We have an experienced president, a president of Brazil, Mr. Lula da Silva. And he doesn't need a lot to figure out who's who, what's what, because he's got knowledge, he's got experience, and maybe he's got that flair of reading people. Lula da Silva did not want to participate in the Ukraine-Russia hysteria promoted by the operatives in the media. And that is, they didn't want to get involved. They said, well, you know what, we will maybe provide peacekeeping troops to Ukraine, but we will not support either side. Well, he kicked out a Ukrainian envoy, or at least a lobbyist, who was trying to convince Mr. Lula da Silva that he's wrong and he should support the Ukrainian cause, whatever that is. I know, defending himself and so on. Not the Western interest in Russia, no. And Lula da Silva kicked him out. Actually, did not even want to see him. That's the first topic. The second topic, I have another article here, and that is Iran. Iran is not afraid of the United States of America. They say we are not intimidated by your threats, Donald Trump. And they shouldn't. They shouldn't. Now, let's go to the first topic, which comes from Sputnik. It is from 6 hours ago. Brazilian president kicks out former Italian prime minister acting as Zelensky's emissary. This is the hero right here, the communist Lula da Silva. I don't like communists, but like with everybody else, we have qualities, we have defects. Sometimes our defects are considered qualities, like nowadays avoiding responsibilities called you're smart. In the old days and in real life, that is a BS. You're a piece of shit. Anyway, in this case, the communist, which I don't like, Lula da Silva, I can't ignore his flair, his ability, his balls. Well, I admire them. All right, let's see what's going on here. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva refused to meet with former Italian Prime Minister Massimo D'Alema, who came at the request of Zelensky Stein. D'Alema himself told La Repubblica, and I'm quoting, "I went, but Lula nearly kicked me out, saying that Ukraine is an American problem and that they should deal with it. Instead, he told me, I should focus on Palestine." The communist is smart. The politician complained. D'Alema recalls that Zelensky told him Ukraine was on the brink of disaster and the US would abandon Kiev sooner or later and that the EU was unreliable. Massimo D'Alema served as Italian Prime Minister from 1998 to 2000 and later held the position of Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister from 2006 and 2008. Earlier, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva stated that his country would not deploy troops to Ukraine, but was willing to send a, quote-unquote, peacekeeping mission. So Lula da Silva knows proportions, and he said, I think you should focus on Palestine then instead of Ukraine. And that's America's problem over there. But what should Palestine be Italy's problem? Doesn't matter. He made a point like this. United States is initiator in Ukraine and, 2014 NATO expansion and so on. So that is their problem. They should solve it. Stay out of it. But Palestine? Well, I think that's a global issue over there. Why? Because we have an entity that tries to whoop another entity. And that is, they call it somehow. Call it, I think, genocide. All right, so let's move to the next article from the Palestine into Iran. Russia Today. Iran doesn't care about Trump's threats. Senior commander says, 29th of March 2025. Now, I know some can claim that's irresponsible. He doesn't know what he's dealing with. Well, if Iran would have been such an easy peasy enemy, it would have been dealt with a long time ago by Israel using the bully boy United States of America. Not even Great Britain or France dare to even do anything about Iran. They would dare, like hyenas remember in Simba, the Lion King, the hyenas behind Scar, the evil black-maned lion, whom I liked. The hyenas are strong only when the lion is around. When Scar, the bad lion, was not around, the hyenas behaved. Like, for instance, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, Poland, all these hyenas will behave once the Americans are not around. If the Americans are around, they're all puffed and let's go together right now over me. All right, let's go for and see how Iran sees this. Tehran is capable of retaliating against any enemy, according to IRGC Navy head Alireza Tangshiri. Iran will not bow to U.S. pressure to resume talks over its nuclear program, a top naval commander has said, stressing that Tehran is ready to strike back in the event of an American attack. And they are. In an interview with Al Mayadeen TV channel on Saturday, this commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy pushed back against U.S. President Donald Trump's recent ultimatum urging the country to enter new nuclear talks. So if you cave in to someone telling you to do something, he's going to use the same ultimatum for next one, to accept this, to accept that. So if I have the power to blackmail you, to give an ultimatum, otherwise I will do something to you, that means, and you cave in, that means when we're going to sit down to talk, then I can use the same thing to get whatever I want from you. If you, okay, we're going to come and talk. Do you think the Americans then going to say, okay, let's put the weapons here and let's be objective and let's be partners? No, they use the same tactic. You do what I tell you, otherwise, boom. You don't do what I tell you, so you don't have to cave in from the very beginning, like with a bully. The same thing. You don't cave in. You might get in a fight. Remember, bullies don't want to be scratched, poked in the eye, kicked in the balls, poked in the nostrils. They don't like that. That's why they use psychological warfare. Like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this to her. And if you cave in, that's their victory. They want to take something that belongs to you without being hurt. Now, if you say, give me this, if they say, give me this, and you say, no, 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 they might attack you. You fight back. You might lose. But I guarantee you, he worked hard for that. So next time when he comes for something else, if he comes for something else, the bully boy doesn't want to be scratched, kicked in the balls. He's going to try again. And again, if you say no, he said, shit, I'm going to be poked in the nose again. I'm going to be, I don't know, poked in the eye or something like this. And they don't want to do this. That's why you, with a bully, from the very beginning, you take the chance. You might not get in a war, but if you get in a war, you're going to get in a war sooner or later. Why? They're going to escalate their demands. Now they say just to come over here to talk to you, then he's going to ask you for this, then he's going to ask you for this, then he's going to ask you for everything. And then you look back and say, why in the hell I agreed with all those 10 demands, and now I'm in front of making a decision, because I definitely cannot give this bully my girlfriend. Well, that's what you got. So now you have to fight something that you should have fought, I don't know, 5 instances ago. The same thing with Iran. Iran is going to go from the very beginning. Okay, let's do it. I know it's for Israel and the guys in charge of you, but if you want that, if you fooled your population so easily with their mass media, then let's do it. And I think that's going to happen. Why? Because Donald Trump is owned by certain interests. Let's go. And I'm quoting, I have no knowledge of Trump's message, nor do I care to analyze it, this guy said. I hear his threats, I observe his actions, and I prepare myself to counter them. We have the capability to strike all enemy bases. wherever they may be. No one can strike us and escape, even if we have to chase them to the Gulf of Mexico. We would. Hey, it's the Gulf of America, man. Because it is. Because it is. All right, now, regarding the Gulf of America, do you know how the Italians call Germans? Tedesco. Tedesco. And do you know, we call, some countries call Germany, Germania. In Romanian, we call Germany, Germania. But the Germans call themselves Deutschland. So when you say Gulf of Mexico and you say Gulf of America, well, I understand, but it's two different names, two different sounds. Tedesco, German, and in French is Allemand. Isn't Allemand the German? So what are you talking about? Why don't you call them all, I don't know, Deutsche or Deutschland? Why we have to call them Germans, Allemands, and so on? L'Allemagne and whatever. Okay? So my point is this. You can call it however you want. And the problem is, I think that Gulf should be called however the stronger decides. And the stronger decided to call it the way they want it. What are they going to do about it? You can call it however you want. No one is going to come to Mexico and say, hey, why do you call it still the Gulf of Mexico? You can call it however you want. The problem is how the maps will be agreed in international arena, and they will be decided by this. All right, so he's ready. He says here, this guy, let's continue here. Tangsiri also rejected any negotiations of a Tehran missile arsenal or its backing of groups in the region. And I'm quoting, Iran will never negotiate over its missiles or the capabilities of the resistance front. He said, he also emphasized that the Islamic Republic seeks peaceful relations with the neighbors. And I'm quoting, we also extend a hand of friendship to the countries in the region. As Muslims, we do not pose any threat to our neighboring countries. We're going to have to make a decision one way or another, Trump said, and he talked about what? Negotiate. We're going to either have to talk and talk it out, or very bad things are going to happen to Iran, and I don't want that to happen, he added. To go in militarily, it's going to be a terrible thing. This is what the leader of the free world says. Now, I like Trump because Trump doesn't pretend to be a good guy. Now he says, I'm going to queue up, I'm going to take that. I want the Panama Canal, and we're going to send troops over there. We're going to name this the Gulf of Mexico. Everybody's like, oh my God, why would you do that? Because I can. What are you going to do about it? Huh? You're going to go to the United Nations and cry? Or what? You're going to me? It's not going to work. All right, my friends, here is Tehran is not afraid and shouldn't. You stop a bully at the first demand. And the other one was the Brazilian president says, you know what? Back off, move, boy. Or how's that? Not piece off, to be nice. Buzz off, okay? Or off. Go. Why don't you look at problem in Palestine? I tell you why. Because Zelensky is Jewish, and Palestine has a problem with the Jews. And then another thing, they would not dare. They would not dare. That's why at the beginning of this video I said, give me 5 minutes. Allow me to ask you 2 questions, and based on your answers, I would make a decision of how you think and how intellectually honest you are. The questions are this, related to these topics. The first one, with beliefs, which I usually, if you're a Christian, I ask you if you believe that Noah built the ark when he was 600 years old, and Noah died when he was 900 years old, according to their little... Okay, so now, if you believe that, all right, so when you see a stop sign when you drive the car, and what do you think about it? Do you think that's a stop sign? Do you think that that is something else? Someone told you? You have a feeling that is just a suggestion? What do you think about it? I mean, obviously you can believe whatever you want. That's first one. And the other one is I ask the person to tell me about the Palestine conflict, more directly about Israel, occupied territories, and Russia and Putin in relation with these guys. So these are my 2, let's say 3 topics. Russia, Putin, Israel, and Israel in the United States of America. And then the other one is based on your beliefs. That's all. But that's me. That's just the baboon me, right? And based on that, I realize if you can not think and not be logical and fact-based on this issue, but you're very logical in these ones, something is wrong here. Something is wrong. That's how I how should I put it? I don't want to say part ways, we're not friends or anything, but I realized that Ben Shapiro is what he is. When I heard him being very illogical and very, how should I put it? Having an agenda when he was talking obviously about Israel, Jews and Hollywood, and then about Putin and Russia. When I heard him saying that, facts have no feelings, facts don't care about your feelings or whatever he used to say. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But these two subjects, he was always. So I said, what's going on here? Well, I knew exactly what was going on, but I thought that maybe he's gonna look what happened to Candace Owens. That's why when I see Jordan Peterson in cahoots with Mr. Ben Shapiro, I'm like, I don't think that's intellectual honesty, Dr. Peterson. I like him, and I made a few videos on Dr. Peterson, how I figured out that he would not touch the subject. He likes Solzhenitsyn, but he didn't touch the Solzhenitsyn Gulag Archipelago and who were the commissars and in charge of the gulags. He veered off of the subject. Why? And he's got a lot of it, and he's got a lot of influence, but he was afraid. Or whatever he was, I don't know. I can't read people's minds. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.